Good evening and welcome to the program. This is the Limelight and my name is Tim Apollo. It is the first edition of the Limelight into the new year 2022, and we look back at a bill that now has been signed into a law. The NSSF Amendment Bill. Just this week, President Museveni assented onto the bill. Now it is a law. One that, of course, had interests of a multitude of Ugandans, especially workers who save with the fund. Now, the key provisions of this law, this particular legislation, is to facilitate members access their savings mid-term. Another key provision is to increase the coverage of the fund to also include all other workers who need to save with the fund. Now, after the assentment onto this legislation, we may ask what next? And to answer that and many other questions, we connect with Mr. Asha Wilson Owere. He is the Chairman General, National Organization of Trade Unions in Uganda, one of those organizations, one of those key entities that were behind the pushing of this particular legislation. Good evening and welcome to the program, Chairman General Asha Wilson Owere. You are live and we want to hear from you exactly what your emotions are. Share your sentiments on this success story.
Thank you very much. I'm really very excited. I'm really very excited because this is one of the historical bill that has actually been ascended to. Historically, it is actually the whole world. This is the first bill which is giving workers mid-term. And I'm very sure that the whole world soon will be coming to Uganda to benchmark and find out exactly how we did it. And I'm telling you, workers are very happy. I'm equally happy. And to tell you the truth, I'm really excited. Since that time, I think felt, because now I'm not feeling well because of excitement. But by and large, we are trying our level best to see that this money is accessed by the workers as soon as possible. But what I want workers there to understand, that this bill has taken us a very long time to pursue it. We have taken over 3 years. And you remember that this bill was passed by 10 Parliament. When the 10 Parliament passed it, it was collapsed by 11th Parliament. When 11th Parliament collapsed it, I almost died. And it sent a very wrong signal where people thought it was a political gimmick. It was something to do with what they don't understand. And but I want, in a special way, to thank His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni, because he came out strongly to support the workers. By the way, we had to storm the office of the Speaker, that is Olanya's office, with the 2 MPs from workers, and we had to tell him we want this law very, very fast. And he allowed it to be fast-tracked. And he told us he's with us and he's going to do it. Now that is the history. He has already done
Chairman
it
General,
and passed the law.
Chairman General, tell us,
yes, my brother,
now that the bill has been signed into law, what next? What do you desire to see happen afterwards? I mean, after all this, after this success story.
After this success story, what I expect now, because in the law, we put there a rider that within 2 months after passing the law, we want to see money in workers' pocket. And it is in the law. So what I expect now, the ministry in charge of gender, labor and social development, first of all, to gazette this bill. I expect them to gazette this bill within 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I expect a regulation to be being done now. After putting the regulation in place, hand over to NSSF, and I also expect NSSF to be by now working on upgrading their system, because they are going to pay this money immediately. The regulation comes out, and when the regulation comes out, we don't want to hear any excuse from NSSF, because the money is there, it has been confirmed. Now I want the money to flow in the workers' pockets.
Let's look back at those contentious provisions that were points of contentions in in enactment of this law. There was a concern on who supervises the fund between the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Finally, it was agreed, a compromise was reached that it should be dual supervision. If I may ask you, Chairman General, were your fears addressed? Because you had fears and concerns that the supervision of the fund should not be under the Ministry of Finance, it should be under the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Are your fears now catered for, Chairman General?
Brother, yes, our fear was catered for, because let me give you a history of NSSF. NSSF, we started tracking NSSF in 2008, when there was a lot of scandals in that fund. So we raised alarm. We went to His Excellency the President. We had an agreement with him, and what he did was to give us, as government, 5 slots to be on the board of NSSF, because by then we were complaining that we are not getting, we are not inside. We don't know how the governance of NSSF was being run. So he allowed, and we started we were put on board. And now since that time, there has been a serious rebrand of NSSF. By that time, there was only 2 trillion. It was 1.something trillion. But today, as we talk, when the workers went on board, today we have over 16 trillion. Now, when the president took this decision to take this NSSF to Minister of Finance, there was no particular department in charge of NSSF. The NSSF remained in the corridor of finance. So what we did was to push and try to bring it back to NOTU. It is docket, because according to ILO, it is a ministry in charge of work or labor is responsible for social security. But we reached a compromise and said, okay, let Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development take charge of social aspect. What do I mean by social aspect? Social aspect is where a worker, the policy and so on is under Minister of Labor, Gender and Labor, Social Development. Now, the issue of investment and so on, looking at the money, monitoring the money, should be finance. And we agree on that. So our fear was covered that now the direct supervision of the fund is under our own docket, Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, which is actually responsible for social security. And that one raised our fear. And we have no problem with that. And I want equal again to thank the president, because for him, his mind was so much on making sure he thought it can be, but this is now going to solve the problem of that may have been hindering our progress, and our fear has been settled. Thank you.
Okay, well, Chairman General, with your fears settled, can you authoritatively say that workers' savings are now in safe hands? Just one statement. Can you authoritatively say that the monies of the workers, the savings, are really safe?
I want to inform the world and the country that our money, our savings, our docket, our organization is very, very safe with this new law, because we have put in mechanism that will guard against any eventuality. And the good news is that we are in the governance of the board, through the board. So we are in the thing, we are no longer outside. So the issue of safety, and I want to lay our fears of people who are saying that there is no money, and the people have turned it politically, thinking that it was just politics. Now the law is in here, signed by the president, and we are now going to fast track the payment to ensure that workers are paid.
All right, Chairman General, let me take you back to another key concern that is amongst the workers' community. It's about the timing of this particular legislation. It comes at a time when the economy is in distress. I can tell you, and you know it, that around this time, everyone is looking at how they can take kids back to school come next week. It's time for school fees. And actually, if it was possible, if the legislations and the statutory instruments have been worked out, probably we would see on Monday many parents lining up at NSSF to pick their savings. What do you think should be done at this time? Good enough? The bill provided for some form of financial literacy programs to be extended to workers so that they should keep this money. They should put this money to use, to that use that would look and focus on social security. That is a biggest concern. And your workers going to retrieve the money and spend it anyhow, not on social security?
First of all, you should know that everything happens with purpose. By the time we started fighting for this law, we didn't even know that COVID would come. We didn't even know that there will be something like that, because we started this dream about 5 years ago. We consulted, we put it in paper and so on. But what was the main agenda? The main agenda is that NSSF should, the workers should enjoy their money when they are still alive. The years should be reduced. That was our dream. They start something now. School fees is one of the investments. Actually, it's a long-term investment. I want to tell you that most of my children have now attained degrees and so on, and I invested in them. So if anybody is using it on school fees, there is no problem. That is a very big investment. And those are some of the things. There are those who have been on the street for many years, They have the money, they have clocked 45 years, they have saved over for 10 years. Their children were not going to school. Now, that is an investment. But what we are going to do, our organization, NOTU and COF2 and then government and employers, we are going to have a strategy on how we are going to work out a system, how we are going to educate the workers on how they are going to be liberate themselves from poverty using this money, investing it, because we expect some people to invest this money so that when you are 45, you are only remaining with the 10 years to access the whole amount. If you start now and invest something, by the 10 years when you are getting the lump sum, you can be able to do something. So it is a very good, it is timely, and I don't have regret. We shall have, like now this program you are hosting me, we shall make arrangements with the media houses and other places to see that we educate the workers and redirect them.
Thank you so much, Chairman General. But one last question. It is about what, yes, what you plan to do now. Now that you empower government and the Ministry of Gender to work on statutory instruments and gazetting the act, what do you plan to do in this around this time to help workers, especially on the issue of voluntary and increasing coverage of the fund? What are you going to do? What are your plans now?
Now, one thing we are going to ask NSSF to start a program. This is a very good time when NSSF should use this time to bring back the confidence of workers to it. The government should also use this opportunity to bridge the gap that has been between workers and them. Because now, by President signing this law, he has showed that he's interested in the workers' issue, and he has done it at a right time. By the way, this was a New Year gift, and for me, it is something that has done me the best in this era, and we are going to help. I also want to come up with something which I want to tell you, that during this COVID, we had a serious problem where workers had some workers are not working, the employers reduced workers and so on. So we are going to focus on that. We are also going to make sure NSSF comes out to actually, we have over 14 million working people. Only 2.1 are saving with NSSF. I want NSSF now to attract 11 million workers to be on NSSF. And once they start saving, the amount of money that will be in the coffers of Uganda will be very big money that will help in creating jobs and other.
Chairman General, unfortunately our time is up, and unfortunately me myself, I do not qualify as I speak. Otherwise, I will be as happy as you are, Chairman General Mr. Asha Wilson Owere, the Chairman General for National Organization of Trade Unions in Uganda, speaking from the aviation city of Entebbe. And we've been looking at the bill that has been signed into a law. I hope it is a smile. It gives a smile to the workers out there and everyone who intends to save with the National Social Security Fund. My name is Simapolo. I must thank you and say good evening until next Friday.